Hi there everyone, my name is Christian Eschbach and welcome to another one of my album reviews. And today we are looking at Rob Zombie's Sinister Urge. This is CD number 2 in a triple shot for Rob Zombie. Last album I talked about was Hillbilly Deluxe, Rob's first solo outing. Too much like White Zombie for me. I don't enjoy the album that much. There's a couple songs that are really cool that stand out. They were basically the singles. The album to me is a lot of basically filler. But even Rob Zombie himself said that he really didn't think he had a whole lot left in him by the time he was done this album. He thought he was done music. And then he met John 5. I won't be covering any John 5 albums with this triple shot, but this is the basis for the starting of Rob Zombie's solo career. In more than one way in some cases in here. So, we've got the album opening up with Zinc, which is just a soundscape. One of his typical soundscape openers. I mentioned that he does that before. It works here. It's kind of cool. It gives just the right kind of vibe to get you going into the album. And from there goes into Demon Speeding. I like Demon Speeding when I'm doing something high energy. If I'm out riding my bike, like my bicycle, when I say high energy, I mean like I'm actually exercising kind of high energy. I like Demon Speeding when I'm out riding my bike. I actually like it when I'm playing like Grand Theft Auto, or video games in general. Sometimes if I just don't want to listen to the music in the game, I turn the music in the game off and I turn the stereo on in the background so I can listen to it and enjoy. Music sucked back in the early days of video games, like, you know, for Nintendo and stuff like that. So it became a habit I used to do way back then. After that, we go into Dead Girl Superstar. Dead Girl Superstar, it's kind of a cliche Rob Zombie song. I like it. I do. But it's got a lot of Rob's standard kind of start-stop kind of tactics to it. It's, for the time period that it was done in, it was still kind of, I don't want to say it was original for him, because at this point, it was a tactic he had even been using kind of White Zombie-ish too. It's not a bad tune, it's just stock Rob Zombie, I guess. Then you get into Never Gonna Stop. Now, one of my favorite parts about Rob is the grooves, the hooks. Like, Rob does metal you can honestly dance to, you can groove to, you can get your freak on to. And if you can't, you're doing something wrong. There is a lot, especially from this album moving forward, I find especially, you find a lot more, I want to say funk influence almost. You know, it's just got that good heavy groove in there with solid music over top of it. And Never Gonna Stop, oh, good. It's still got some of that old school Rob in it, but it's got definitely that new up and coming Rob kind of sound to it too. Ironhead is one of those tracks that, to me, is an album filler. I really don't think of it if I'm not listening to the album. You know, it does its job going through here. After that, we got Go to California. Go to in brackets or parentheses, whatever you want to say, California. I really, when I'm listening to this album, I really dig that song. It's got such a cool, slow groove to that. Go to California, go to... It's almost like, I almost want to say it's kind of like Rob Zombie doing the Red Hot Chili Peppers, almost. A little bit. But it's a really good tune. I really enjoy it. I really dig it. It's got such a nice vibe to it. Even when it gets into that heavy parts, it's still got a great, wonderful energy to it. After that, we get into what is my second favorite song on this album. And that would be Feel So Numb. When I saw Rob live and, just all of a sudden, I feel so good, I feel so numb, yeah. And the place just right. You just see everybody's head. The stomp, and you can hear the thunder of the crowd and the energy. This is a song, man. And I absolutely love this song still. It is one of those songs that I will put in mixes. I know when I had this, I had this when, mixtapes were still kind of a thing. I didn't subscribe to the mixed CDs because they were lousy for Walkman. So I would still use mixtapes right up until I had an MP3 player. And Feel So Numb ended up on some of my mixtapes for that reason. It was great tune. Still is a great tune. Still holds up. Still love it. Transylvania Transmissions Part 1. Another soundscape. It's fun. It's interesting. It's a great way to help fill up the album. The CD specifically a little bit. Bring Her Down to Cripple Town. It's there. Okay. Scum of the Earth. I was never a fan of Scum of the Earth. And I think the reason I was never a fan of Scum of the Earth was due to the fact that it was too metal and not enough groove. It didn't have Rob. I love when Rob's grooving. I love, Feel So Numb, Never Gonna Stop. They have great grooves to them. Sexy grooves, Scum of the Earth is metal. And it's a good tune. Don't get me wrong. I understand why people still like it. I understand why people still totally get into it. I totally understand people's fascination with Scum of the Earth. Not mine. And the album finishes off with House of a Thousand Corpses, which is my favorite song on the album. You'll have to pardon me just for a second here, sorry. And I absolutely love House of a Thousand Corpses. I think it is brilliant. And that's before we get into the movie. Now remember, this song on this album came out before the movie did. Quite a bit of time before the movie actually got released. I believe Rob had already been filming it because there are lines in here, I believe, that are taken directly out of the movie. So I believe the movie had been filmed when he did the song, but he was having a hard time getting it out with distribution. It was gory, it was violent, it was an exploitation movie, and he was trying to get it released in a mass market because theaters that would play exploitation type movies didn't exist the way they used to anymore. And that is a real shame. I really do think that we need grindhouse kind of cinemas again. I believe that is something that is missing. But the storytelling in here, it was a brilliant, lyrically, it tells you the whole story, everything you need to know as the setup for House of a Thousand Corpses. It is the perfect intro song to a movie. It is the perfect song. The whole way around, I think it's one of the most perfect songs ever, man, because it's dark, it's sinister. I love dark and sinister, though. I mean, Alice Cooper is my hero. It's dark, it's sinister, it's got this sexy kind of groove to it. Instrumentation is beautiful. It is absolutely fantastic. And then there's the hidden track at the end of it, because, it's really cool. You go through this awesome House of a Thousand Corpses track going on. And then it kind of quiets out a little bit. And then all of a sudden comes thundering back in with this great kind of soundscape to end it out. The soundscape at the end of House of a Thousand Corpses is actually one of the few soundscapes I absolutely go out of my way to listen to. I would take House of a Thousand Corpses and I would put it on to a mixtape, and I would try and cut it so that little soundscape actually didn't have as much of a break in between House of a Thousand Corpses and the soundscape at the end. Because I actually really enjoyed that one. I really like the story narrative that's going on in there, and it just, you know, like, I know it's technically a song, but to me, because of the way they work it out, it's kind of more of a soundscape with a song in it. It's just, it's a great song. It kind of has this vibe of that industrialized mixing soundscapes in there that Rob does so well, mixed with kind of a song with the simplicity of Discharge, where there's not a lot of lyrics. He's just kind of repeating the same lyrics over and over again. It works. It's simplicity, but it's great simplicity. Anyways, folks, Sinister Urge. One other thing I want to mention about this album. This album has a special place in my heart, because this was actually my son's nap time lullaby album. I kid you not. We tried everything to get my son, when he was doing naps, around 2 years old. We were having a hell of a time trying to get him to nap still. And he needed them. You know, you could tell the days he didn't get them. So we started putting him in his room, and we put this album on in his room. And he'd fall asleep to this album. Usually he was out well before I got to go into California. But we let the whole album play out, and by the time you get to the end of the album, he's sound asleep in his room. Sound asleep. Now, we didn't have it cranking in his room, but we had it on quietly and whatnot, and it was perfect. Absolutely perfect. And I blame this as his nap time lullaby album as the reason why he fell in love with Rammstein so much. One of the few bands that him and I totally see eye to eye on, you know. There's a few of them we do. Rammstein is one of the ones which, you know, brings me to the ending of this video. We're going to have a nice little kind of segue. So, leave the comments. Let me know what you think about the album. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. The subscribe button. With that segue, I am going with my son and Tracy to go see Rammstein up in Montreal in August, and I'd love to be able to do some live streaming before and after the concert for everybody to see, instead of recording it and having to wait till I get home from my vacation to edit it and post it, which I'll be doing with certain things from my trip. So if you guys want to be able to see that type of stuff, I need people to hit subscribe for me. So hit that subscribe button. It's really important. Other than that, there's also a link to Patreon. That's cool. You know what that's all about. Peace, love, take care.